First Class Fatherhood. That is where Alec Lace comes in with his popular podcast.
And one of the most interesting was on a podcast.
Alec Lace interviews high-profile fathers from actors to NFL players with a vision to change the narrative of fatherhood and family life.
Joining me now, First Class Father Bryan Greenberg. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start like this. How many kids do you have? How old are they?
I got 2 kids, and they're almost a year old, like in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. You got the twins going on over there. You guys, you have it anymore? Or are you all done here? Is that enough?
What? Come on, don't ask me that, man. I'm so exhausted. I can't even think about that. Nah, I almost got the vasectomy in the hospital the day they were born.
Well, if you could, Bryan, please just take a second here to hit my listeners with a little bit about your background and what you do.
Yeah, sure. My name is Bryan Greenberg. I'm an actor, artist, musician, now director, producer, writer, I'm just an artist. I do everything.
Yeah, you said almost a year into this now. So far, how has this experience of becoming a father kind of changed your perspective on life?
Oh man, this is definitely the most challenging year of my life and the most rewarding as well. I don't know. I always heard like parents say, you can't explain what being a parent is like till you have it. It's just something that's unexplainable. And I'm like, well, no, I think I can explain it. It's just like your life doesn't matter anymore. It instantly shifts. It's like, oh, I'm not the most important person anymore. It's just about, and it's not even about the relationship with your partner. It's really just about the kids. And then everything else kind of comes second, you know? And now I'm trying to learn now of like, how do I become a better partner? A spouse? How do I become, like a better individual on my own and just not making it all about the kids? But, it's tough at this age. They need so much of your energy and your love. So it's really hard to, to think of or to do anything else, to prioritize anything else besides them.
Yeah, and Bryan, obviously becoming a first-time dad, getting hit with twins right out of the gate, and then also during a pandemic having your first children, I would imagine that's got to be difficult as well. What was that experience like? Were you able to be at all the appointments? Were you able to be with the delivery? How did it work out having your children during the pandemic?
Yeah, no, I mean, because of COVID, everything got it, like, the doctor's appointments, everything, a lot of stuff was remote and whatnot. But, I mean, we were kind of towards the tail end of COVID, so. The funny thing about COVID, though, it's like I'm a very social person. I like to go out. I'm very busy. But during COVID, I got, everything got really small for everybody. My circle got small. My world got very tiny. And oddly, it prepared me for being a father because I just, I don't have the FOMO of like going out and doing stuff because I've already been kind of like hibernating and in this zone for a while. So it's not like a huge shock to my system as it would be for most new parents in a normal situation. I was already kind of like ready for it.
Yeah, and it also too, I mean, it forced a lot of people to be home, stay with their families, and they didn't have to travel as much, and there was a lot less going on. So it was a little silver lining in that sense. Yeah. What would you consider to be, Bryan, the top values that you hope to instill in your kids growing up?
Oh man, that's a good question. I just want them to be good people. And I also want them to be themselves. But I guess there's one thing it might sound kind of corny or hokey, but like if I could just instill in them to learn to be present, which is something that I had to learn later in life, and I think I would have been such a better person if I could have learned how to do that and to channel that being present early in life. I'm going to try to instill that into them.
Yeah, I love that, Bryan. What about as far as your routines go? You got a good routine going down? Is it still all over the map? You got a bedtime routine? How is it feeding with the twins? What does the routine look like over there at the Greenberg house?
We got them on a good sleep schedule. I read that book that I would highly recommend for every new parent, 12 hours in 12 weeks. For sleep training, it was a game changer. Like once at about 4 months, we could close the door and we'd be good for about 12 hours, which is great. It's just like unheard of. And we still got that. There's a couple like that. They're teething. So, it's like nothing's perfect. And, they're humans. They're not robots. So things change. But for the most part, they're pretty good. And we got them on a pretty good routine, trying to get them off the formula, trying to implement more food. But yeah, I mean, like their naps are dwindling now, which is a little scary. Like, are they going to sleep? Are they not going to sleep? Like what is happening in the daytime? So I don't know. The routine, we had a routine, but it's all changing. I don't know.
Yeah, and you know, I have 4 kids. We have 4 kids, and
Wow.
our first 2 are 15 months apart. We call them Irish twins, but I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
from having friends that have twins,
yeah.
it's a whole different ball game of experience, and I
Bro.
don't know at all what they're going through. And I do know that it does take a village when you have them twins. Do you guys? How is your village? Do you have your in-laws? Do you have you have people around you that have been helpful, supportive? What's that been like for you?
You are not lying. First of all, the best advice I got was don't take any advice from anybody that doesn't have twins, because it is a completely different ball game. It's just, I mean, if you're an experienced parent, the second one is a lot easier. But when you have two and you don't know what you're doing, it's crazy. So yeah, definitely takes a village. And that's the other thing I learned about this year was who my real friends are and who has really stepped up for us. And it's that to me is like the most heartwarming part of this whole experience, is just like seeing who's really got your back and who's there for you. Because like when they're kids, when they're babies, like infants, everyone's come by and like show up and like play with them because they're cute. But it's like, who's gonna be there like 4 months later and like really want to help out or like bring over a meal and just kind of, and not just come over there and hang out, but like help out. So yeah, friends have totally stepped up. In-laws are amazing. My sister-in-laws are unbelievable. My immediate family, my mom and dad and my sister have all been great. Cousins, like I'm very blessed, and I hope they keep up the hard work for the next 20 years.
Yeah, right on with that. And I know you guys did the Halloween themed wedding, was a big deal with you guys.
Yeah.
Do you have I don't know, I think they came right before Halloween last year.
Yeah, October
Are they
7th. Yeah.
do you have Halloween a family theme this year? What are you guys going to be for Halloween? What are kids going to be?
Talking about it. Yeah, we're talking about it. I'm like, are we just going to be those corny parents that they all dress alike? And I was like, hey, I'm kind of into it. Yeah. So we might do like some Star Wars thing because we're kind of dorks about Star Wars. So we might do that. There's plenty of characters to drive from. Yeah, we don't know yet. There's just early talks, but we have to figure it out.
Yeah, a lot of options with a family of 4 there to tap into. So pretty cool.
We got a dog named Ewok, so he's already he's already got his costume on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what it comes up with, what you guys come up with year after year. But and what about as far as any other traditions? You guys have any traditions that you guys are planning on starting with the kids? Any that are carrying over? Any new ones? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, I'm Jewish. My wife is Korean, so we're like trying to implement a lot of those. We're both very proud of our heritage, and we're trying to like yesterday was Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year, and so I brought my kids over to my cousin's house, and we had apples and honey and like traditional New Year's food, which is great. For their first birthday, we're gonna do like a little game that they play in the Korean culture where you put all these, like you put a like a stethoscope or like a microphone or a baseball bat, and you have all these different toys, and then you see which the baby gravitates towards, and you can bet and be like, what are they going to be? Are they going to be an athlete? Are they going to be a rock star? Are they going to be a lawyer? So it's kind of fun. Everybody gets to get involved with that. So we'll have like good Korean food. So we're looking forward for that for the first birthday.
Very cool. And how about as far as have you given any thought to, given your background, have you given any thought about your kids getting into the acting world there? Is that something that you'd like to get them involved in, or is that something you'd like them to stay away from?
I'd like for them to stay away from it, but I think one of them is just like a natural. He's really funny, and he's got great comedic timing, and I'm like, man, this kid, he's going to be good. It's like my worst nightmare, to be honest, because it's such a hard life. It's a hard life.
Yeah, and tapping into that, Bryan. I mean, obviously, the way that we consume media, the way we watch media now has changed drastically from when you first came onto the scene here. And a lot of people, their way into the acting has changed a lot. What kind of advice do you have for parents out there who have kids that are studying acting, aspiring actors? What route would you tell them to steer the kids?
Oh, I mean, my parents, I wanted to be an actor from a very young age, and I got to give my parents credit. They, I had an opportunity to go like pro, I guess, like early on when I was a teenager. Some talent scouts found me, and they invited me to go to New York and get an agent and do all this stuff. And my parents were like, why don't you just be a kid? And if you still want to do this in 4 years, when you go to college, you can do it then. But just be a kid, and that will be there. And my love for it stayed, and I went to NYU, and I'm still doing it, and I still love it. So I give my parents all the credit in the world for just taking their time with it. And I think most parents should do that. But if your kid wants to do it, like I think you should be, listen to the kid. You don't want to deprive them either,
Yeah, very, very cool, Brian. And I know, what about as far as discipline goes? I know the kids are just about to be one here, but you guys obviously coming from different cultures. Have you guys discussed the type of disciplinarians you guys are going to be as parents? Who seems to be the more disciplinarian?
Yeah.
And what type of discipline style did you grow up with?
Well, my wife likes to use a baseball bat. I use a belt. It's just choose your weapon. No, I'm just they're too young. They're perfect. They're so innocent and perfect. There's nothing to discipline them about. They're just babies doing what babies do. So there's nothing we're really, we haven't really gotten into that level yet. But I mean, we're trying not to say the word no so much, and we're trying to explain why. Not that they understand anything, but it's just we're trying to get in the habit of that. And yeah, I mean, we're trying to be lenient, but at the same time, like, I think I'm probably going to be a little more stern. I think that's the way it's shaping out. But, I like I said, I just want my kids to be happy, and, I'm not going to rule with an iron fist or anything like that.
Very cool. And has it changed so far, any of the projects that you plan on working on? What projects do you have coming up? And has it altered the fact of taking on jobs? Are you putting a pause on anything? What's coming up for you?
Well, the good news about COVID is, like, as an actor, most of your meetings can be done, via Skype or Zoom. So that's great. You don't have to, like, go across town, or you can be out of town and you can just kind of do your meetings virtually, which is great. Yeah, I mean, I think the second week they were born, I was doing a movie for Netflix called You People with Jonah Hill, Eddie Murphy, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, David Duchovny. It's gonna be hilarious. It's coming out next year. So look for that. But thankfully that shot in LA where we were, where the kids were born. And then my wife is a saint, and I got to give her all the credit in the world, because I've been working on this movie called JUNCTION that I wrote, and I finally got it off the ground this year, and I went off to Rhode Island for 2 months to direct it. So she held down the fort for 2 months with babies without me. I didn't see them at all, which was crazy. And then I'm in New York right now editing that every day. So it's been, directing a movie is the hardest thing ever, and then having twins is the hardest thing ever. So this has been the hardest year. I'm not kidding. This is the hardest year of my life, but definitely all good problems. Like, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, awesome. And how has the experience been watching I know one of the things too is when you start having children, it definitely changes the relationship. You see your partner in a much different light. You've never known them as a parent before. So what has it been like watching your wife go through this process and become a mother and take on the role of motherhood?
She's my queen, man. She's like, has all my respect. It's she's just natural. She's so good at it, and I'm always screwing up and always doing the wrong thing. But thank God I got her, thank God.
Well, last thing I want to hit you with here, Brian, I love to ask all the dads that I get on the podcast, what type of advice do you have for that new dad or for that about to be father who's out there listening?
The best advice I got was, because I'm in a gig, career where I don't know what the next gig's going to be. And, sometimes you can stress out about that, especially when you have to provide. You got mouths to feed now, and that can light a fire under you. But, so you stress about, like, oh, is my house big enough? Or, do I have enough money for their college funds? All these things, you start, like, money stresses, which aren't really real, because you'll figure it out and you'll be fine. But the best advice I got was, doesn't matter. All that matters is you got to love these kids, because that's what they're going to remember. Just love them. That's all you got to do is love them. And it's so simple and such a great reminder. I think about it all the time. And that goes to staying present and just being there, just being, just being in love with your kids, just don't resent them, because that can be easy to do sometimes when you're tired and you haven't slept and they're crying and you don't know what to do. Just love them. Just love them.
Yeah, I love that. I love the message. It's been a lot of fun for me. I got to say, Bryan Greenberg, you're a first-class father all the way, and thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time here on First Class Fatherhood.
Taking the time. Thanks so much, man.
You have been listening to First Class Fatherhood. First Class Fatherhood is a family-made media podcast. Please visit www.firstclassfatherhood.com or www.familymade.com to find out more details. You can order First Class Fatherhood advice and wisdom from high-profile dads on Amazon.com or wherever books are sold. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Proverbs 22:6 tells us, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will never depart from it. God bless, and I'll catch you next time.